welcome to part 3 of this tutorial on basic mixing. Last time we have had a look at how to access effects in Cubase and the different methods of applying them to the tracks. This time we will have a look at the equalizer as the first effect that we're going to be using. First we're going to listen to a small part of the project to get an idea of where we're at right now. Alright, the tracks have been roughly balanced already, and using left and right panning we have given the instruments a little room. Later on we will add reverb to give them even more room and bring back the natural sound of the band and the recording environment basically. The instruments themselves still sound flat and kind of weak, and we're gonna have a listen to the drum kit only to determine what kind of problem that might be. So mainly the overheads are missing some brilliance and some frequencies. I'm gonna load up an EQ to have a closer look at it and explain what it actually does. So this is the Equalizer plugin, and you can see the dots in the middle right here in this window, and these are actually the bands which allow us to manipulate the frequencies to our liking. I use this plugin because it actually displays the frequencies that are being played back. So let's have a look. So what you just saw is basically the whole spectrum of the drum kit. From left to right we have on the left the low frequencies, kick drum for example, or low toms, all the way to the right where we have the overheads, the brilliant and the shiny frequencies kind of. And the dots on the red line are the EQ bands right here, and those allow us to manipulate the signal by boosting or cutting it basically. We also can select different filter types for each dot, and this dot right here, the number underneath shows the exact frequency where we're at right now. The filter types can be edited here. This might look different depending on the plugin that you'll be using. And we have high shelf, low pass, bell, whatever, different types of filters. And right now we have a high shelf, looks like that. And we're going to listen to how that sounds if we apply it to the drum kit. So here you could hear the impact of the equalizer and how it changes the signal of the drum kit. We used a high shelf on this, and just for fun let's now use a low pass. This is another filter type, and that basically changes the shape of the band that we're using right now, like you can see here. The low pass filter allows low frequencies to pass through and high frequencies will be cut. We're still at 16,000 Hertz right now, and I'm going to move the dot to the left. So you could hear high frequencies disappearing and only the low frequency stayed. Another useful feature of the equalizer is that you basically can kill frequencies you don't like or that don't serve a purpose in the signal. To show this, I'm going to select another band, and this one is set to bell, which means that it basically looks like a bell when we put it up. We have the bandwidth right here, which is called Q. Right now it is set pretty wide, so we can impact a huge area, cut or boost it with this bandwidth right here. I'm gonna make it even a little wider and see how that looks right here. This will impact every frequency in the area of the bell. Now I'm gonna set it to narrow as possible. This looks like that then. And what we can do is we can move it around and look for frequencies that we don't like or that don't serve a purpose, as I said before. With this method we can pinpoint frequencies and cut them out of the signal. When we bring up the audio channel settings in Cubase, we can see there's an EQ already built in. It's on the track no matter what, it's bypassed all the time, set to neutral, but you can use it. It only comes with 4 bands, but most of the time that should be enough. And when it comes to applying equalizer to special instruments or to certain instruments, a very useful thing is that this one has presets built in. Right here, this button brings up the preset panel, where you basically can look at different instruments, different types of EQ for these instruments. I wouldn't recommend using them, but it is a great way to learn how to EQ certain instruments that you might want to use EQ on. You can bring it up and then have a look right here. This is basically how they think a snare drum should be EQ'd. So that was a quick look at the equalizer, and as with everything, it takes some time to get used to, it takes some time to play around with it, experiment with it, and get effective with it. It is, however, a very useful tool when it comes to mixing, and next time we're gonna have a look at how to use it on a complete drum kit, track by track.